So good evening and welcome to our Wednesday Creative Living series. We are so happy that you are here, and wherever you are on your journey, whether you are in the middle of a challenge, standing on the mountaintop, or searching for meaning in the valley, you are in the right place. Because you are here and I am here and the Spirit is here. This is a space where we do not rush past life's hard moments, but instead we pause long enough to discover the wisdom, the power, and the grace hidden inside of them. Because we often say there is good everywhere. So what we do is, through that tool of positive expectancy, we expect good everywhere. Our gathering is not to escape from life, but an opportunity to engage with it more deeply through a spiritual lens and open heart, because we know everything is working out for our own good. There's a common narrative that says, you are going to rise despite what happened. And it's meant to be empowering. But tonight, we lean into a deeper truth. You are rising not despite that circumstance, but because of it. You are rising not despite the situation, you are rising because of it. In this teaching, we know that life is not happening to us, but through us. Life is happening through you, through me. Every experience, yes, even the painful ones, can serve as building blocks for our becoming. Even that painful one, the ugly one that you do not want to think about. The very thing we thought would break us may be what awakens the power within us. The very thing that you think would break you may be the thing that's awakening that power that you have been created with. Rather than seeing the circumstance as a detour, we recognize it as a doorway. As a doorway opening. And once it's a doorway, it's opening to something good. A doorway to what? To transformation. A doorway to self-revelation. To a clearer view of the power that lives within you. I surely like this kind of doorways. And when we say a doorway to transformation, it's not just about surviving the situation. It's about being reshaped by it, by that situation. So in this teaching, we'll say that that circumstance is an orchestration by the divine to bring you to where you are. Like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, transformation means that what emerges on the other side is not just stronger, but new. You don't go back to who you were before. You grow into who you are meant to become. And the question again, always and always, is who have you come here to be? Who are you becoming? Do you know? Sometimes life presses us not to crush us, but to break open the shell of limitation we've been living in. Things happen to break us into what we have come here to be. We shed old fears, old stories, old roles, and something more authentic begins to rise. We talk about when we talk about cleaning up a place. You clean up the old, you take out the old, so you let in the new. We are being changed by the occurrence in a way that opens us new to a way of living. For example, a person loses their job unexpectedly. At first, it feels like failure. You worry. You're in distress, which is normal. But over time, they discover a dream they've buried for years. starting their own business, or going back to school. What felt like an ending was actually a redirection into a more meaningful path. They didn't just survive it, they were transformed by it. Additionally, in the heat of challenge, we meet parts of ourselves we didn't even know were there. Things happen and you discover, oh, you're resilient. You can be patient. Things like that quiet strength that holds steady when everything feels uncertain. That courage that shows up even when your knees are shaking. You're trembling, but you're moving forward. That love that deepens when everything else is stripped away. And most times we discover these things when situations or circumstances befall us. Self-revelation is that moment when you realize that I am more than I thought. You are more resilient. You are more aware, more guided. And that's always the situation. There's always more. And that more most times show up when we are going through situations. The circumstances don't just test you, they reveal you. Surprisingly, they reveal you to you. Because you do not know sometimes that you are powerful. You do not know there's always more. There's always that exceedingly abundantly and above. You do not know how much power that you have within you until you are confronted with something and you speak that word and it comes to pass. It brings to the surface truths that have been hidden, waiting to be seen and claimed. So when life challenges us, we often discover strength, creativity, and courage we didn't know we had. Think of someone caring for a sick loved one. They never saw themselves as strong, but they show up every day with patience, tenderness, and resolve. Even when they're tired, even then when they're weak, they're down, they go inside, cry, clean their face, and still come up. Or someone who goes through a painful breakup and starts to uncover how much of themselves they had been hiding. They begin to reclaim their voice and their worth. The hard experience didn't give them strength. The hard experience did not give them the strength. It revealed the strength that was already inside, waiting to be seen. We also often underestimate ourselves, not because we are weak, but because we've forgotten who walks with us and lives within us. Every challenge invites us to remember that I am not alone. I am not alone. I am not powerless. And that you are the I am that I am, because the divine, that power, lives in you. We are spiritual beings, not separate from the source. The same creative power that spoke the whole world into being speaks through you. So if that power is in you, you can speak things into being, because you have the power to do that. But that will not work until you try, until you move your feet. There's a strength within me that isn't just human, it's divine, it's powerful. It has the power to create. That divine capacity is the ability to respond to life with wisdom, with peace, love, even in chaos. It's the awareness that you are not just reacting to life, you are co-creating with it, always. And when we say speak a word and it would come to pass, we're not just saying it to make you feel powerful. It's the truth. You are not just enduring the storm, you are discovering that you are the calm center within it. Deep at the center of your being is that infinite well of peace, joy, love. This doorway leads you to the deeper truth, not someday, but right now. Right now. We always talk about right now, the totality of the power. It's in the present moment, here, right now. When we stop relying solely on our human effort and begin to lean into spirit, we realize that we are never alone, and far more is possible than what you have imagined. That complete statement is, you will do exceedingly abundantly above what you think or imagine. You have the power to exceed all that. Your divine capacity isn't just about what you can do, it's about who you really are when you remember you are connected to the infinite. So when we say infinite possibilities, everything is possible. That means nothing is impossible with you because you're connected with that power, infinite possibility. So you can speak to that situation, you can speak to that mountain, be that removed and put elsewhere. And it will be done because you said so and you believe it. The circumstances that come into our lives, especially the ones we wouldn't have chosen, often carry with it an invitation. They invite us to stop identifying with limitation and instead remember that we are vessels through which life is expressing itself, evolving itself, and knowing itself. So if you're going through a situation, that's not the end you're going through, because we already know that suffering is not God ordained. You're going through this situation. When we embrace this, we stop asking, why me, and start leaning into what truth is life calling me to live now. We don't dwell in self-pity. What truth is life calling me to live now? What's good is in this situation? What am I to learn from this circumstance? Life doesn't send us hardship to punish us. It's not some cosmic test. In truth, the challenges we face often reflect the next level of growth our soul is ready for. We've had a lesson where we talked about the eagle. Now, when the storm comes, it opens its wings and embraces the storm. And the storm pushes it above the storm. Each difficulty becomes a teacher, and every loss or disruption presents an opportunity for you, for me, to uncover hidden strength, to deepen our faith, and again, to raise our consciousness, expand our awareness. Again, a detour implies something has gone wrong. A doorway implies something is opening. So we want to see that challenge as a doorway. When we begin to see the doorway, we no longer feel like victims of circumstance. Then we know something is happening. And the Spirit is working something out. We begin to stand in the truth that something in us is greater than what's happening around us. We begin to recognize the opportunity in the obstacle. Again, recognize the opportunity in the obstacle, the message in the mess, the purpose in the pain. And it takes a student, it takes a practitioner to look out for these things. It doesn't mean we pretend it's easy. It means we begin to understand that life is always seeking to emerge through us. Something great is about to be birthed through you. And sometimes it takes the shaking, the falling, or the letting go to make space for the emergence. We evolve not in spite of the circumstance, but because of how we choose to walk through it. The great work of spiritual living is to keep showing up with an open heart. I don't feel like it, but let me just show up. I feel pain all over my body, but I just want to show up. I show up even when the terrain is unfamiliar. Most times what we need is just a word, just one word. Because the soil of our soul is being tilled not to bury us, but to make room for something more vibrant to take root. So tonight, as we reflect on the hard places we've come through or are still standing in, let us not rush to escape them. Let us pause long enough to ask, what doorway is this moment opening within me? What am I to see from this situation? What is Spirit trying to reveal to me? And what sacred strength is rising because of it? Again, whatever you look for, you'll find. If you look for the good, you'll see the good. Vice versa, if you look for the bad, the ugly, you will see it as well. So let me share a breathtaking true story about Heather Dunedin, the fall that failed the finish. In an indoor 600-meter race, athlete Heather Dunedin was leading when suddenly, with only one lap to go, she tripped and fell flat on the track. The crowd gasped. Everyone thought it was over. But instead of giving up, Heather sprang back to her feet. She started running again, not out of frustration, but with focus. With her teammates and competitors several strides ahead, she didn't panic. She trusted her legs, trusted her training, her will, and something greater within. And with sheer heart and power, she didn't just catch up, she won. She didn't win in spite of the fall. She won because of it, because of the fall. You know what? Because the fall woke up something in her. Because the fall demanded more from her than she thought was possible. The crowd wasn't just cheering for her speed. They were cheering for her spirit that refused to stay down. And isn't that what we are really here for? We don't gather to avoid falls, but to discover the rising power that meets us because of them. To discover that power, to discover that patience, to discover that love, to discover that clarity, discover that I can do it, Spirit, that's in you. A similar example recently made waves online. A 7-year-old girl slipped and fell at the start of a roller skating race. Without hesitation, she got back up and chased after her competitors. Ultimately, winning the race. Her indomitable spirit is a living example that the cycle of falling and getting back up again is not just a lesson in skating, but a lesson for life. You fall and you get back up. Never give up. It's all for your good. Never give up. It's all working out for your good. This story is both from the track and the skating rink, remind us that we were made to rise, not just once, but again and again and again. In life, we all have falling moments. But like Heather, the moment you hit the ground may be the moment something greater within you gets up. The moment you hit the ground may be the moment something greater within you gets up. The moment you hit the ground may be the moment something greater within you gets up. The fall is not the failure. The refusal to rise is. That situation is not a failure. That valley experience is not a failure. It's when you refuse to treat and move your feet. Like the ocean tide, life moves in rhythms. There are moments to rise and moments to be still. When the tide pulls back, it's not disappearing. It's preparing to surge forward. Maybe this moment that feels like loss is actually tide pulling back, making space for the next wave of your becoming. It's easy to honor the finish line, but what if the real miracle was in the middle, when the odds were against you, the darkest period of the night, and something divine kicked in? We love the moment when everything comes together, when the goal is achieved, the healing is visible, the story ends with triumph. It's the mountain experience we celebrate. Everybody wants to be part of that, to associate with it. The applause, the breakthrough, the visible win. What if the real miracle wasn't just at the end, but in the messy, uncertain, silent middle? When you were alone, that middle place where you hadn't yet seen the outcome. You could not even see the light at the end of the tunnel. Where fear and faith were wrestling in your chest. Where you kept showing up even when there was no applause, no clear direction, no evidence that things were improving. But you kept showing up. That's where the miracle often happens. The miracle in the middle is not the resolutions, it's the resilience to keep going, to keep showing up. It's not the finish, it's the faithfulness that nobody sees. It's that moment you could have quit, but you didn't. The time you cried out for clarity, but you chose to walk anyway. The season when nothing around you affirmed your strength, but something inside you whispered, keep going. That's the divine kicking in, not as a lightning bolt, but as a quiet persistence, that still small voice, the grace that holds you when nothing else does. What if that's where God or Spirit lives? What if the Spirit doesn't just show up at the victory party, but is most present in the uncertain stretch of the road? You turn to the left, to the right, front and back, and there's no ray of light. But you kept on going because you trust and know that the darkest period of the night is just before dawn. And you kept on going, holding on, showing up, trusting. What if God's greatest work isn't in the outcome, but in the inner becoming that happens as we move through the valley? That's where character is forged. That's where truth is revealed. That's where we come to know ourselves and the presence within is more clearly, within us clearly. The space where something unseen rose within you and said, "You are not done yet." It's just a phase you're going through. Because maybe that's the real miracle. Not that you crossed the finish line, but that you kept walking when no one could see how much it cost you to keep going. Spiritual growth doesn't deny difficulty. It reclaims it as a divine material, divine orchestration. God's Spirit is always working things out for us. What felt hard becomes meaningful. What felt off course becomes the way. And the setback leads where you belong. It's all coming together. Again, just as clay must be pressed, thorned, and even placed in the fire to become a vessel of beauty and strength, so are we being shaped by the hands of life. The spinning isn't punishment. It's purpose. The fire isn't cruelty. It's creativity in motion. We are not being destroyed. We are being formed daily. So let's consider the process of purifying gold also. It's not refined in comfort. It's shaped and strengthened through fire. The fire doesn't destroy it. The fire reveals it. That situation, it's only revealing the power in you. What if the circumstance you feared would ruin you is the very one refining you into gold? This is also true for us. Maybe the loss helped you to become more compassionate. Maybe the silence taught you how to listen to your own voice. Maybe the silence taught you how to listen to your own voice. Sometimes that may be all that we expected to do, to listen to our own voice. Maybe the delay taught you patience. Again, there's a place in the scripture that said that Jesus learned obedience by the things he suffered. You go through a situation, but some virtues are being created. Suffering wasn't the goal, but it became the classroom through which deeper awareness, compassion, spiritual strength emerged. The breakdown could have exposed a false belief that was never meant to define you. So what if we said, this year's even the hard part is helping me grow? Instead of saying, I'll grow once this is over, we say, I'm growing right now in the middle of it. The truth is that growth doesn't only happen in joy, it happens in the stretching, the waiting, the falling, the rising. It happens in the moments that test our patience, courage, and faith. And again, these aren't interruptions, they are invitations. Invitations to become stronger, clearer, deeper, and more aware of the power within you. Perhaps we don't have to wait for the challenge to end before we consider it a success. Again, that is faith. Calling those things that be not as though they were. Maybe we get to say, this too is shaping me. This too is growing me. Just like the valley is often viewed as a place of hardship, a low point, a place where things are stagnant or stuck. But in nature, the valley is also where water gathers, where nutrients accumulate, and where the soil becomes rich. So we see that valley as the situations that we all go through. And he's saying that the soil becomes rich. That is why the lily of the valley, a delicate, fragrant flower, doesn't grow on mountain tops. It flourishes in the quiet, shaded places beneath the peaks, in the cool of the earth. It blooms not in spite of the valley, but because of it. This pattern mirrors our journey. Our most profound growth often happens in the low seasons when we feel unseen, uncertain, undone. But those very conditions cultivate something deep, rich in the soul. So we don't want to always despise or run away from those challenges. The lesson is not to escape the valley, but to understand its purpose. For it's in those low places that something great is forming. We emerge with strength that is quiet, rooted, and undeniable. So if you find yourself in the valley, don't curse it. Nourishment gathers there. Roots grow deep there. And like the lily, you will rise and bloom beautifully because of it. In life, sometimes what feels hard isn't punishment, it's preparation. So we want to always appreciate this moment in our life. I end with this story. There's a story about a man who found butterflies struggling to break free from its cocoon. Watching its slow and painful effort, he felt compassion and decided to help. Gently, he snipped the cocoon open to release it. But instead of soaring, the butterfly emerged with weak, shriveled wings. It never learned to fly. You may ask why. Because its struggle of pushing through the cocoon forces fluid into the wings. It's the resistance itself that strengthens the butterfly for flight. The same is true for us. We may not see it at the time, but the resistance isn't meant to break us. It's meant to prepare us. What feels like delay or difficulty may actually be the tension that is forming our wings. So instead of asking for the struggle to be removed, we can begin asking for the wisdom to grow through it. Because we are not just being tested, we are being transformed. And what awaits us is not just survival, but flight. And just like Tony Robbins said, life isn't happening to us, it's happening for you, for me. So in religious science, in this teaching, we don't view life's challenges as punishments from spirit, from God, from the universe, or as divine vengeance, or as tests we must pass. We don't believe in the universe that seeks to hurt, shame, or break us. Instead, we believe in the law of cause and effect, a law that reflects the nature of our thoughts, beliefs, and choices. We also trust in the presence of the infinite intelligence, a divine wisdom that flows through everything, through you, through me, even what feels difficult. The divine is there. Spirit is there. Again, from the scripture, it says, all things work together for good. For good. For those who love God, for those who align to this principle. So tonight we ask a new kind of question. Not why did this happen to me, but what is life seeking to birth through me because of this? What is life seeking to birth through you, through me, because of this situation? We are not here to resent circumstances. We are here to rise through it and declare, this is not the end of me. It is the beginning of something deeper and stronger. And I align with it. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you for listening and for being here.